Welcome back to LittleLee and Rose. My name is Summer Noel, and today we're going to do a really fun geode mold. Now, how fun does this look, you guys? You know me and my geodes. I love them. They're very, very popular, and this is a really fun mold. It's large. You can see these are going to be basically coaster sizes. So we're going to basically make geode coasters, and I'm going to show how you do that with a free pour. Now, what we're going to do is just have a little fun with this, and we're going to take this. We've got different types of crushed glass. We've got a lavender, we've got clear, we've got like large grains of like little tiny rocks. They're kind of a gray color. We've got a custom mix of glitter here. This is a mix of Curtis and Danger and Paul. Those are on our website. Then I've also got Paul just all by himself. So these are going to be the ones we're going to be working with. We're also going to be working with chalk markers, some like paint markers, and our epoxies. We've got our molding epoxy. This is the LittleLee and Rose molding epoxy, part A and part B. It's a 3-to-1 mixture. I'm just going to set that off to the side. We'll revisit that in a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a free form, free pour. So what we're going to do is take our chips and we're going to start kind of putting them where we want on the geode. I'm not going to try to make it too structured. I don't want like these, there's some that kind of run way away, but I'm not going to try to make it too structured. I also don't want the rocks to come up and above this line. We want to make sure that they stay covered. So I'm just going to kind of pour them. I don't want them all in a natural circle shape either, because that's not the way it would look in nature. So to keep it as natural as possible, we're going to kind of make the shape a little odd. And these are just going to go down in the middle. Like I said, I'm not going to worry about like 1 or 2 strays. It adds the very natural look of the geode. Okay. So there we have that in the middle. I'm just going to make sure that they are nice and flat and not too high, because we don't want them to step up. We want to have a flat surface across the top so that if somebody puts their cup down to have their beverage, that it doesn't it's flat and it's not rocky, because some of these little stones are sticking up too far. Okay, so then outside of that, I'm going to take my little spatula. This is just a little scooper. I'm actually going to switch and put the light rocks. It's very similar to what you see me do with my geode tumbler tutorial. We're going to put the clear rocks around the outside. We're just going to be using a scooper. Again, not worrying too much about the exact shape that these go down in, because the more loosey-goosey it is, the more natural it will appear. So I'm going to go ahead and keep laying these all out, guys. I'm going to put you on high speed. Doodly-doo. So what we're going to do next, guys, is we're going to mix our epoxy. Now, I'm going to use FDA compliant epoxy on this, because this has potential for somebody to have contact with the cup, maybe contact with their mouth in some way. So we're going to be working with the FDA compliant. This is going to be the LittleLee and Rose molding epoxy. This is the perfect epoxy for this. It has a high heat resistance. It's 490 degrees, so if somebody puts a hot cup of coffee down on this, it's not going to warp or mess up the epoxy. It is VOC free. It is an excellent molding epoxy. I've got it already mixed here. What we're going to do is we are actually going to pour from the outside. Oops, this is kind of a big cup. I'm going to pour into a littler cup. going to pour some into a smaller cup. It's easier to manage at one time. And then what we're going to do is we're going to pour from the outside and work our way in. Now this is self-leveling, so it will naturally, on its own, work its way flat. So that you don't have to worry about. Right now we're just working on getting coverage, and we don't want it to go all the way to the top lip, because we're gonna do some more fun stuff to this. I'm gonna show you guys a really easy and fun way to customize this. So there you go, we got them covered up. We can see that it's just below the lip. We're gonna do some more fun stuff with this as we go. And I'm just gonna continue this process. The reason I pour from the outside in is I don't wanna push the big gems out to the edge. I would rather push the glitter into the middle if it's gonna move at all, because the epoxy is pushing it. It's just personal preference, guys. All right, just like that. That's gonna fill in all the little cracks. Oops, there's a little spot right there. Okay, I'm gonna keep on moving. So what you guys just watched was I took my great little markers. These are just artist markers. You can get these I got these on Amazon. These will be on the Amazon list that will be below the video. You can just click, you get 3 colors. You get gold, silver, and black. They're beautiful. They're very easy to work with. You can see I just quickly put on some little details for the lines, some of the lines that go around the colors. I can keep doing it if I want one more. Let's say we want to barricade in and make a definition around the outside little edge. You can just quickly go in there and add it. It's very fun. It just adds a little bit of a change to your different glitters, and it shows the different areas and really defines them well. I'm just zipping around here doing it really quick. Doesn't take a lot. Make sure you do get enough ink though. If you need more ink, you just press down on the ink thing. Just kind of going around, separating the 2 glitter colors. Now these lines are not, you don't have to do these are personal preference. If you're not a fan of having the lines within your geodes, don't do them. Just leave it like a natural geode. Why I do this is because once I get this done, if I decided I don't like it, then I make this the back side. No big deal. The other side is still gonna have the same look to it. It just won't have these lines on it. And so you can make your decision afterwards whether you want, what side you want to be on the top or the bottom. So go ahead and try the lines, see how you like it. Flip it over if you don't. All right, guys, we're gonna keep on moving. All right, guys, oops, sorry, let me adjust it a little bit. There we go, so it's not so wobbly. We have got our epoxy ready. I am wearing my nitrile gloves. I've got my chemical mask on. Now, this is VOC free. My workshop is wide open. I've got my fans going. It's a warm day, but I do have a lot of epoxy rolling in my workshop right now. So I'm just being overly cautious to make sure, because I have so many cups turning and so much epoxy in this room, even though that I've got the workshop open, I'm just taking precaution. Because I do have about 13 cups rolling right now with curing epoxy, and then I'm about to have this going as well. So if I was just working on this project, my workshop is wide open. I'm in open air, fluid air. I've got a lot of airflow and ventilation. I wouldn't be super worried about my chemical mask because I wouldn't probably be breathing much in. But because I do have so much going on in here today, I'm going to wear my mask. So it's going to be a little more difficult to hear me. That's just a little epoxy education. Wear your PPE gear, guys. I am seeing right here just a little correction. Let me check my eyes away. We're just going to go back in with our little marker. I see a few little spots that don't look as good of coverage.
Now these markers are great. You saw me working with them to prime them when they come. This is a yellow tip. You shake it really well. You turn it upside down. You push it up and down, and it primes all that metallic paint up to the surface. Then you can just paint. It comes in these 3 colors. You've seen me use these on other projects. I use them a lot. They're wonderful, so I highly recommend them. I've got my epoxy now warming. This is part A. I've got it on the warming cup, just so it loosens up a little bit, makes it a little easier to pour. I'm going to mix this in a large cup because I can't mix anything more into that little jar because it's so stinking full. So we're going to mix into a larger plastic cup. Now that's warmed up. Sorry, you're going to hear my kids. They're sassy. 3-year-olds will give you a run for your money, I'll tell you what. They're giving the nanny a hard time in there. Actually, just one. If you guys are familiar with my life, my name, LittleLee and Rose, comes from my triplet girls. It's their middle names. And little Miss Rose, woo! She's going to give us a run for our money at 3 years old. Dang, she's crazy. All right, so I'm just mixing part A and part B together. I'm scraping the sides to make sure I get every little bit out so my measurements are proper. If your measurements are incorrect, you will get epoxy that does not cure. So see, now I'm just using my silicone stir stick to give it a good stir. I'm going to scrape up the sides. It looks like there's a little epoxy here. We want to make sure that gets all mixed in. Just scrape off the stick a few times. Scrape that down in. Then when I'm doing a big cup like this with just a small amount in the bottom, I want to make sure that none of this extra stuff that doesn't really get mixed on the sides, we want to make sure that that doesn't get into our mold, because it is a good chance that that little bit will not cure up. So let's show you what I do. I take a second cup. I have another second cup. These I just get from a pack at the dollar store. And I pour it into that cup, making sure to scrape everything into the cup. Then giving it one last stir. That way I know that there's everything that's in this cup has been stirred very thoroughly and mixed very well. Because you see all this extra residue on the outside. There's a good chance that there's a little part A or part B that did not get mixed in there, and it will leave a tacky spot, which could cause epoxy poisoning to one of my customers. So you want to be very, very careful when you're working with it. I am using the FDA compliant LittleLee and Rose resin. It is, I didn't mix enough probably to make more, maybe 2 of these will be filled with this round. We're just going to pour this in, and we're going to bring this epoxy all the way to that top lip. All right, we're just going to fill in this. Now we're just basically going to fill in this mold. And we're going to basically cover up all of our little chalk marks. Oops, I overspilled it. Perfect, that looks good. All the way around the edges. I could do a little sanding and buffing at the end. I'll show you how to do that. Now we're going to fill in this one. I just use my stir stick to make sure that it pushes all the way up to all the edges, and then we get full coverage with it. I'm just making sure we push it, because I don't need to just keep pouring and pouring and pouring, because otherwise I will overflow, and that's not what we want. We just want it nice and right up to the edge. I'm just going to pour until I see it hit that edge. There we go. A little bubble there. We got a little left, but I don't think it's going to be enough to do a whole nother one. I'll have to mix the second batch. I could have made one big batch. Yes, but I didn't want to I don't need any other extra epoxy today. So I thought I would go steady as she goes. I'd rather mix a couple different batches than one big batch and have a whole bunch extra. So basically what I'm actually doing is going down and scraping the sides, because epoxy is expensive, and I'm making sure I use every drop. Okay, so we got there. So, okay, guys, I'm going to go high speed. I'm going to mix another batch of this and start filling in all the gaps. We'll be right back.
Alrighty, ready. Here we go. Okay, so now you see they're all cured. We can touch them, poke them. They don't do anything. They're ready to go. We are going to use our Drill Master, and it comes with a whole bunch of bits. If you're not in my Facebook group and you have not seen me work with this tool is magical for working with epoxy and doing your tumblers and any different little epoxy projects that you have, because it comes with, I wasn't really thinking about showing you guys this, but it comes, sorry, there's extra little things in here, but it comes with a ton of these little heads, and they work for all the repairs and dings and little things that you have to fix on your tumblers and all your epoxy projects. This thing is amazing to get in there and do your little detail work and clean up edges and stuff. So I'm gonna kind of show you how to do that. So we're gonna flip this out. We're just gonna kind of pop them out like they're cookies. Like flop them out off their cookie tray, like they just finished baking. And I'm gonna show you guys the difference between one side and the other, because now you can see, you saw the side with the lines on it, and now you are seeing the back side, which is similar. So that's why I was saying you could put the lines on and then decide which side you like better and go from there. I will caution you guys, when you do your molds, you wanna be careful with your torch. If you torch, see right there, I'm showing you this. I torch this one a little too much, so see how it's sticking to the mold? I will actually leave that one there so I don't ruin it. And what you could do, because that means my torch accidentally, I probably torched and hit the silicone there, so it's sticking. But all you have to do, this is my little tip or trick for this one, is put this in the freezer, and for some reason it works. Let it freeze for 24 hours and that mold will release off of there, all right? I'm gonna stick that one over there because I don't wanna ruin my mold trying to pop that out. So you can see the difference. This one has the lines, this one doesn't, these don't. So you just kind of decide what style you like, whether you like the lines or not. Now, I did this to show you because I personally don't like the lines. I like this side, but I want to show you guys that you can do both, because it is definitely a personal preference whether you like the lines in there, separating out the different places or not. So now we'll say we have 4 because the other one's gonna go in the freezer. So what I use my rotary tool for here is I feel all the edges. And sometimes they have rough edges from being on the edge of this mold. So what you can take, you take your Drill Master, because the bottom one this one's gonna be perfect. It's not gonna be sharp, it's because it's been on the bottom and it's weighed, but this top one, it has a doming effect, so sometimes you get this weird little edge. So what you wanna do is you wanna put on your sanding mask. So I take this mask. This is just a little dust particle mask. You want to always wear a mask, whether you wear your chemical respirator. You can use that as well if you don't have these. These can be purchased at the dollar store. All the dollar stores have them. They are either in the cleaning department or in the hardware department. You know me and I love my dollar store stuff. So I always have these laying around. You never want to sand your stainless steel cups. You never want to sand epoxy. You never want to sand any of that stuff without this particle mask on, because if you don't wear it, you're breathing in the tiny particles of epoxy, which cannot be good for you, or you're breathing in the dust off the metal when you sand your cup. So you want to wear your particle mask when you're working with this. So this is kind of loud, guys, but we're going to take our Drill Master. You can see I'm using this tip. It's because it's a little bit more gentle than the actual sandpaper, because we're really going to buff it a little bit. We just want to take that sharp edge all off the line. All right, so now I'm gonna take a paper towel or any kind of rag. I just got a paper towel here, so I'll use that. And we're gonna kind of dust it off. You can wash this with Dawn soap. That would be my suggestion. If you want to add more epoxy to it, but we're down the road, we were gonna do that. But for now, we're just taking that sharp. So see, now it's nice and smooth, just like the other side. But if you look very closely, it has slightly changed the color a bit, so it's a little bit dull, and we want the whole thing to be shiny. So it's very, very subtle, but you can kind of see it right here where I've sanded off that big piece that was kind of hanging on. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna switch heads. Normally I would just do the whole set and sand it down and then switch heads, but we're gonna just, for time purposes, you guys do not need to see a 2-hour video of me sanding. We're gonna switch it to our buffer, and I'm gonna buff it. So it's basically the same thing, but I'm now gonna buff the edge of this, all the way around the outside edge. All right, here we are to the next step. Sorry guys, you're gonna hear a lot of activity in the background. I've got my turners going, I've got my Cricut machine going, we're packing orders. It's been a big day here at Swag City, LittleLee and Rose. I'm gonna show you how to use heat transfer now. So we've taken this, like I said, I prefer the no lines. We're gonna put those on the bottom. This is just gonna be a coaster set I'll make for myself. I'm gonna monogram it with my own letter. So now I'm gonna use the heat transfer. What you just watched me do in the high speed was weed these. They're really very intricate details. You can see, here we go, let's pull one of these in here. You can see how intricate that is. Now the reason I'm using HTV is if this was this intricate and it was on regular vinyl, it'd be really a stinker to weed. But you could see in the weeding, I just wore my weeding ring, put it on my fingers just like this. I have my weeding tweezers. These are super awesome. These will even grab these little tiny, tiny, fine little details and pull them out. This is my absolute favorite tool to use for weeding. I don't know if you can see it with the black background. They're super fine tipped. They get all the little tiny pieces. I just really love these. And they actually grab the piece to pull as opposed to trying to hook it and pull. And then as you saw me doing, I was pulling it up, and then instead of just throwing that piece everywhere, you stick it down inside, slide it into one of these corners and pull it out. And the vinyl stays down inside this cup. Then to clean this out, you just open it up and pull everything out. Very, very easy. Makes weeding a lot easier. I know a lot of people struggle with it, so I thought I would show you that. And this is HTV, guys. This is heat transfer vinyl. This is actually slightly tacky, this paper, so it holds the vinyl onto it while you're weeding all the parts away, so it makes it really, really easy to weed. The very intricate designs. So I'm putting down this beautiful silver heart right on there, just tacking it straight down. Remember when you're printing out on HTV, guys, you got to mirror your image, which means reverse the image over. That's mostly important for like letters and such things, so they're not facing the wrong way when you then turn it over, press it down, and see your color. So then you're gonna take a heat gun. This is just like an embossing gun, heat gun. It gets hot, but it doesn't blow and push air like a blow dryer. But if you don't have one of these tools, you can use a blow dryer. What you're essentially trying to do is just heat this up and activate the glue on the back of the HTV. So you're gonna see me do this. I'm just gonna blow some heat onto it. Get it really warm, and then press it down. We're just going to repeat this process all the way around the heart. Then I'm just going to go over it one more time, over the entire image, just to make sure it's really in place. All right, and then I'm just gonna press those down. Now you wouldn't wanna necessarily use the heat gun if you're working with a Promarine or Alumilite because they have really low heat resistance. They would get really melty and warpy and funny when you hit the epoxy would actually get tacky and weird when you hit it with that much heat. But this LittleLee and Rose epoxy will resist up to 490 degrees. So the heat gun does not do anything. It's still, you can hear it's tappable, it's hard, it's not tacky. Let's see, there we go, up, and it's not down yet. We're gonna keep on going. But you guys kind of get the idea, so I'm gonna put this on high speed. I just lifted up an edge to see if it was tacked down, and it's not quite, so I didn't get it quite hot enough. So we're just gonna go, keep doing the same thing. I'm just gonna move this on to high speed. All right, guys, here we go. We're all finished. We've got them heat pressed down. We've added the vinyl. These are ready to go. Now, if you want, you can add a layer of epoxy over the top, but I'm going to leave these just as is. That way I can change them down the road. This is going to be something just for me. So if I decide I want to change the style or the design on them, I can just peel it up and move on. They are not permanent, but if you're giving them as a gift, you might want to make them permanent. Just do like a hang method layer over the top and you'll be good to go. All right, guys, for this tutorial, we are all finished. I hope you guys learned something new, had some fun. Jump on over to our website and grab your mold. We've also got the molding epoxy there and a bunch of these fun glitters. All right, guys, we'll see you on the next tutorial. Bye.